it's very ironic that well, actually, it's not ironic. It's actually quite predictable that Bill Ackerman's, who's leading this charge against plagiarism, allegedly it came out today from the Business Insider that his wife plagiarized.
Yikes.
Like I said, allegedly, multiple paragraphs in her dissertation. His wife is a plagiarist, allegedly, reportedly. So let's see if he has the same energy for his own household.
Wow.
To watch this become about plagiarism is peak gaslighting and ridiculousness. To watch this Black woman become the face of anti-Semitism. This is all really fucking ridiculous.
No question.
Meanwhile, kids are still getting slaughtered by the thousands in Palestine and in Gaza. And the Black woman of Harvard is the Boogie woman. That's the person that they need to get the hell out. We got to get. What about Netanyahu? What about what he's doing? Killing civilians. Like the way that the topic has been changed, the way that the boogeyman has been created out of the president of Harvard, which doesn't move the needle in the country at all. I'm sorry. Maybe for some people it does. It's never been a beacon on the hill for me. It's never moved the needle. It's not moving the gas prices, the price of bacon, the price of a cheeseburger at McDonald's. It does not move any needle. It only serves as this institution that people get to put up as elite and say, I did it or whatever. Good for you. So I don't think that there's really anything to mourn here. I don't think there's really a loss here. I think that Black women, it ain't your job to hoist up these institutions. Yes, they will, as you pointed out, Dr. Carr, put your Black ass on a magazine and talk about how, look at how good we are. We're so progressive. We're so woke. We got a Black woman the first time in 400 years. Celebrate us. And the second that you step out of line, whatever the little imaginary line is that they had, they're telling your Black ass. And so I think that this is liberating for Claudine Gay. I think it should be liberating for Black people across this country. I think we should stop looking to these institutions to validate us. We should stop trying to tiptoe the line to get into these places that don't want us there to begin with. If they want to say, send a message, don't come, then don't come. Yes. There are plenty of other institutions that are welcoming with open arms, Howard University being one, many HBCUs, et cetera. There are also not so quote unquote elite institutions that are welcoming your Black ass too. So I think that people are I understand the outrage. I understand that it's always a punch in the gut to a certain extent to see something like this happen. Somebody who followed all the rules, who did everything supposedly right, and they still on their Black ass. But that's the story of America. It's never changing. The only thing that can change is what we celebrate, what we strive to. And the last thing I want to say is the whole conversation that this has turned into around DEI and diversity, and she was a diversity hire.
Yes.
Guess what? If I'm a diversity hire, if you pick me, even though I wasn't supposedly qualified, thank you, bitch, because the check is still clearing, okay? My family is still eating. I'm still going on vacations. I'm catching planes, trains, and automobiles. So we need to stop trying to push back on whatever it is that you sleep all at night. That's fine. The check is clearing, boo.
I know that's
If I'm a diversity hire, that's fine. If I'm a DEI hire, that's fine. If I'm affirmative action, that's fine. I don't give a damn. Yes, please give me every single leg up that I don't deserve, just like how you give the white boys and just how you give the white girls. I want all them legs up too. Okay, point blank in the period.
Ooh, that leaves a mark. I'm sure Christopher Ruvo wouldn't like you to hear you say that, particularly since he has a degree from Harvard Extension School, and he's been around telling people that he has a degree from Harvard. Of course, he's taking credit for this. And I saw a tweet the other day said, now let's return to merit-based work at Harvard, signed Jared Kushner and Robert Kennedy Jr. So, I mean, like you said, affirmative action, the real affirmative action in this world is whiteness. We know that. And so
can I just say,
no, please.
I don't want to be the merit hire. I don't want to work twice as hard to get to be the merit hire.
Right.
Let me be the affirmative action hire. If that's all if I could just show up Black and get a job, please sign me up. Sign me up for that gig. Don't sign me up for the gig of slaving for 10 years trying to get somewhere and then, okay, now you pay me 70 cents on the dollar for white men. No, thank you. I will absolutely love to be the affirmative action non-merit hire any day of the week, okay?
Now, see, Reecie, you know they're going to clip that and make that the only thing they said you said, which is fine because you don't give a fuck, so it don't matter.
I'm dead ass serious. That's what why are we fighting? Why are we fighting for what they're going to say we are anyway? Embrace it. Embrace a hand up, a leg up, a hand out, whatever. That's what everybody else is doing. They on the low, they doing it. Their cousins and their uncles and their aunties and their friends work at the factory, work at the company, and they bring all their people around with them. They doing all the same shit. But then you have to get in on merit. No, thanks.
Actually, Reecie, that really is the question, isn't it? You framed it. Why are we fighting? Why is Claudine Gay fighting like this? Now, her whole life, Stanford, undergrad, coming back over to Harvard, spent most of her life at Harvard, a professional career. She was the Dean of Arts and Sciences for years before this. In fact, two of the reasons that a lot of people in academia know Claudine Gay's name ironically involve black people, two black men. Ron Fryer, who was a professor of economics, he was, memory serves me correctly, accused of sexual harassment and some other things. When she was the dean of the college, she suspended him for 2 years without pay. He was restored to the faculty, but they took away his lab. He won the MacArthur grant, the MacArthur Foundation, the so-called Genius Grant. And at the time, now his politics are considered right of center. And a lot of people accuse Claudine Gay of perhaps punishing him for his politics. And then in another case, Professor Ronald Sullivan, who was the master of one of the houses, master of the house at Harvard, a resident scholar who lived in the dormitories, lived in the student housing, he was suspended. No, actually, he wasn't suspended. They chastised him because he's a lawyer. He had signed up to represent, of all people, Harvey Weinstein, who, of course, got a piece of art to the point you're raising from Bill Ackerman's wife, Professor Oxman, when he gave $150,000 to her lab at MIT. So, yeah, this is definitely incestuous. But in the case of Ron Sullivan Jr., another black man, she was the dean when he was stripped of his privileges at the house where he was in residence, and he, according to Newsweek today, tweeted in the wake of the resignation, karma, a one-word karma. So, again, we're seeing these folk fighting in these kind of white plantation systems, certainly these white elite schools, and you're absolutely right. Don't agree that Harvard is the standard for academia, certainly not having graduated from a black school and worked at one. I'm wondering, in fact, what is going on? Joe, I mean, there's clearly a battle going on. They're not finished. They're going to look at Kornbluth now, the president of MIT. They're taking credit for getting 2 scalps, president of the University of Pennsylvania and the person they're really after, which is Claudine Gay. So as Reecie said, why should we even be concerned about this? Should this be a topic? And what do you think is going on in this world, this kind of assault on these 3 presidents and through them as kind of proxy on this question of higher education? This is really what she's writing about today in the New York Times.
Women and black women have been always questioned when they are in leadership in academia, right? Not unlike other black people, you get over, you do well, and even if you do, you're described as the exception and not the rule. You're more miraculous than you are indicative. It makes them say that he's not like the others, not that there are others like him or her, as the case may be. Interestingly, I would say Sister Gay has been, to a fault, very loyal to this institution. Absolutely. Very loyal. And when she answered the questions the way she did, she was actually serving the institution because the question was about free speech. And so she may not have done it quick enough for what Congresswoman Stefanik was talking about, only 2 years after she got removed from a Harvard board, but we can talk about that some other time. But she was actually trying to preserve the institution, and even in stepping down now, she's seeking to actually continue to protect the institution. We forget that a lot of times folks in these situations love to start at the middle of the story. They don't like to start at the beginning. The beginning of the story related to Harvard was that, affirmative action was about having the force of law when others had the force of legacy, the force of tradition, and the force of the relationships. Right. And by the way, BTW, IJS, as my daughter would say, if she was here right now, legacy started in the Ivies to keep our Jewish brothers and sisters out. It was a changing of the rules so that white folks that may not have measured up could continue to go to school because their daddies went there and because their mamas went there. Most of the time, in that case, their daddies. And so basically, there's these assumptions that when we get these jobs, it's affirmative action and it's DEI. But when these white males get these jobs, well, they're instantly and automatically qualified. They're immaculately conceived. They're born saved. They can smoke cigarettes and not get cancer. They walk on waters. It's almost like Jesus themselves. You know what I mean? Which is crazy, right? But to the point, Sister Gay ultimately had to take care of herself. Indeed. She's been taking care of Harvard and you get called nigga enough.
Come on.
You know what I mean? And you get enough threats, and enough this and that and the other. At some point, you might say, you know what, I'm good.
I'm good.
You know what I mean? And so I'm not mad at her for doing that, but we have to be reminded at the end of the day, even Harvard liberals, come on now,
Yes,
even
sir.
Harvard
Yes,
liberals
sir.
get insecure about us moving up, about our demographics changing, which they
That's
are.
right.
And she talks about this in her article. The whole idea is that I'm a great canvas for this because I represent the future. Whether you want me to or not, whether you remove me from this place or not, we have a different expectation, and kids my daughter's age have a different expectation.
That's true.
This is one of the problems Joe Biden is going to have.
I agree.
Because he's an old white man, and they're saying, why?
Absolutely.
We're in a different space now.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep following this in the words of the mighty Most Def, as he said in one of his songs, when they start doing it well, it's success. When I start doing it well, it's suspect. So in this case, we see